The house at the edge of town had stood empty for years, its windows like hollow eyes staring into the dark. People whispered about it, about the screams that sometimes echoed from the walls at night, about the shadows that moved in the corners even when no one was there. But when the Thompson family moved in, they dismissed the stories. It was just a house, after all. On their first night, they heard it, a scratching at the door. They all heard it, a slow, methodical scraping, like nails dragging on wood. Mr. Thompson went to check, but when he opened the door, nothing was there, only the dark, empty yard silent under the moonlight. He told himself it was just a raccoon or the wind. But that night, the sounds grew louder. In the morning, the family found a message carved into the wood of the doorframe. It was simple. Get out? They tried to laugh it off, but the air in the house began to change. The temperature dropped, and strange noises filled the rooms, whispers that couldn't be understood, footsteps that echoed from empty hallways, a voice that would call their names in the dead of night. The kids, Emma and Jake, started talking about an old woman who lived in the walls, an old woman who would come out when they were asleep. One night, Emma woke to a sound from the attic. She crept upstairs, the boards creaking underfoot. The attic was a mess of old furniture and forgotten boxes. But as she stepped into the room, she saw something that made her blood run cold, an old rocking chair, moving back and forth on its own. Her heart pounded as the air around her grew thick. In the dim light, something shifted in the corner of the room, a figure, hunched and gaunt, with skin like peeling paper and eyes that glowed faintly red. The figure whispered her name, Emma ... double quotes, comma. She ran back downstairs, her heart racing. But when she reached the living room, her parents weren't there. Only the faintest scent of rotting wood lingered in the air. The house was empty, except for the figure. That's when Emma saw the reflection in the mirror, a second, older version of herself standing just behind her, with dark eyes and an almost imperceptible grin. Suddenly, the mirror cracked. The thing behind her smiled wider, and Emma screamed, but no sound came out. The next morning, the Thompsons were gone. No one knows what happened to them, but the house still stands, waiting for the next family who thinks they can ignore the whispers in the walls. And if you listen closely, late at night, you can still hear them, the soft, hollow scraping of nails against the door,